Hello, boils and ghouls. Welcome to episode 167 of Dads from the Crypt. My name is Jason. I'll be your host tonight. Joining me, we have Mondo from the Crypt.
Hi. Hello.
Hello. We also have Jody Man.
Don't say it 5 times. 4 is plenty.
Jody, how are you?
I'm doing good.
And coming to us to bring a little ray of sunshine into these dark times is our fun Aunt Whitney.
Hello. I'm so glad to be a ray of sunshine. I'm so glad you think of me that way.
The bar is pretty low, to be honest, right now.
Damn.
You're like, it's still a little foggy. Okay.
Do you guys remember when South Park did the Candyman spoof?
No.
Where you say Biggie Smalls in the mirror 5 times and he'd come out of the mirror and try to bust a cap in your ass.
Oh
and he's pissed off because he's supposed to go to Satan's Halloween party. And he's missing it because Butters keeps saying Biggie Smalls in the mirror.
Oh, he's like, I have things to do. Leave me alone.
Yeah. It's also the greatest South Park gag of all time because someone walks up to Satan at Satan's Halloween party, goes, dude, someone's dressed up as Steve Irwin. And he walks over and it's this guy dressed up like Steve Irwin with a like a stingray stinger through his heart. And Satan goes, dude, too soon, not cool. And he goes, I'm the real Steve Irwin. He goes, oh, then you're not wearing a costume. You have to leave.
I was gonna say those costumes are real, and that's like so sad.
It is. It is because it's like that dude has fans who admired him, a family, children, a wife. Like you're basically saying, let me use your dead hero as an example. So let's just bring this podcast down now, so we can talk about.
We started with Ray of Sunshine, and now we're all sad about Steve Irwin.
Yeah. But really, tonight we're sad about Tony Todd. What a legend.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we decided we're going to do a tribute to him by covering the one, the only Candyman. Anyone else?
Candyman.
Oh, we got 2.
Candyman?
Jody?
Fine, Candyman.
No more.
There's
Stop.
only 4 of us. Like,
because this is how
the name of the movie anymore, or the character.
4 is.
I've seen the movie Host, and
don't mess around.
I don't want to be eviscerated by a hook on video.
Yeah.
Can I tell you, so I watched this movie the other night, and I had some an edible beforehand. And I thought of the best spinoff ever because we're dads from the Crypt, so we do dad shit, right? Like, whatever. I don't know what that means. But what if they had one called Handyman, where you say his name 5 times in the mirror, and he like comes and builds you a deck, like helps you barbecue. I don't know. Like,
there's got to be a business out there that like somehow uses it. Be like, say our name 5 times in the mirror, and I'll come fix your plumbing or something.
because he installs a hidden camera in the mirror when he
got to make it creepy. It can't be wholesome.
I think Jason he had a look on his face like he thought I was going a different direction with that, but
yes. Oh, I always assume you're going the worst direction. Or some weird direction I haven't even thought of yet.
He'll build you a new deck and then he'll jerk you off. He's Handyman.
My mind didn't even go there.
Yeah.
My mind didn't until Jason made a face.
That's what Mother's here for.
That's what Angie List is there for.
For what? For getting the deck built or the hand job?
Depends on where you live.
I mean, depends what category you're looking in, right?
I don't know. So I've never used it before.
I've never used it either.
List.
He's going right now.
All right. Quick announcement that our good friend CryptTube Incorporated did a really nice video about the Mike Vosberg documentary. So go on his YouTube channel and check it out. But again, tonight we are paying tribute to the one only Tony Todd by covering the movie We Shall Not Name, which came out October 16th, 1992. Do you guys remember when this movie came out?
I do.
No.
Like, I remember the marketing was pretty aggressive. I remember like I didn't see it, but I remember like seeing the marketing and stuff, and it was pretty frightening.
I remember my grandfather rented it for me, which was pretty weird because usually but I remember as a kid, the movie scared the crap out of me.
Mm-hmm.
I was a horror late bloomer, so I was 17 before I ever paid attention to what was happening in horror movies, but it was still a great movie once I finally got to it.
This is a movie.
It was the kind of thing that even as a kid, non-horror interesting at all, I still remember it, like the marketing and it being like a thing.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
I was 4, so no, I don't remember. just throw that out there.
Okay.
Yeah, I was only 9. Jason was like what, like 19 then? 22?
Yeah.
Okay.
30.
Buy cigarettes.
30. Yeah.
Jason was 50. What was the marketing like for it? Like, I mean, I know I could probably look up a commercial, but
Yeah, I just remember the trailer and the posters and stuff, and the other kids
the
talking
poster is
about
really good.
Yeah, it's a really good
Was
poster.
it still the I and the B?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
The trailers are really good for this too, so it's definitely worth checking out the old trailers of this.
Yeah, I love old trailers. I love like TikTok or Reels that just do old trailers.
My favorite trailers were the ones that told you nothing about the movie.
100%.
And it was like just scary nighttime, and it show these images at the end. You're like, I have to fucking see this right now.
I like the ones that have like somebody talking over it, and you're just like, who is this person even talking about? Like, why did trailers need a narrator?
In a time when.
Yeah. All right, Jody, give us a plot synopsis.
All right. So our main character in this movie is named Helen Lyle. She is a grad student who is studying urban legends, and in her research, she and her friend Bernadette, who are studying with her, find out about the legend of Candyman, a spirit who is supposed to kill anyone who goes in front of a mirror and says his name 5 times. So like a Bloody Mary type situation. Then she finds out about a recent murder at the Cabrini Green Homes public housing project, which is or was a real housing project in Chicago. And all the locals around that area are saying that Candyman did it. And so she gets curious about what's going on there, that this legend has kind of made a comeback in this area. And so she does some investigating, finds out her apartment was built the same way as these apartments, and that somebody could sneak in through the bathroom mirror, which, by the way, she's not concerned about that. I would be very concerned if I found out people could crawl through my bathroom mirror into my apartment.
That was also like
hey,
at
wait.
one point, like a legit like TikTok story. I feel like that happened during COVID, and everybody was like, do not go through your mirror. Like she noticed like a wind or something. That was wild.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Do you remember? Yeah.
Yeah.
So many people were invested.
So anyway, Helen and Bernadette go to Cabrini Green, and they investigate the house where the most recent murder took place. And she finds this room where people have kind of left offerings to Candyman. They've left pieces of candy with like razor blades in them. Afterwards, they talk to a neighbor who is raising her infant son, and kind of meets some of the people in there. It's a dangerous area for anybody because there's a lot of crime in the area. But she gets to know a couple people there. Later, though, we find out from a kind of snobby professor type guy the backstory from Candyman. Kind of snobby, extremely snobby professor.
I hate that guy.
He's very punchable.
He was enjoying saying that story a little bit too much. I'm just going to say that.
He also reminded me of like that magician. Do you know which magician I'm talking about?
Oh, like Matthew or something?
Matthew?
What?
No.
Houdini?
No.
David Copperfield.
No. Oh my God.
Penn and Teller.
That guy. Right?
Yeah,
like, yes. He reminded me of that.
You know,
I was like, is that him?
When I had long hair, I looked a lot like Penn Jillette. And when I was working at Barnes & Noble, he'd always come in all the time to the coffee place. So one time he was buying coffee, and I was next to him, and the lady goes, "You guys look like you could be related." And I said, "I don't know. Did you ever go drive through Texas back around 1983 or 1982?" He thought it was funny.
Well, he tells her the story. And Candyman was a man named Daniel Robitaille. I don't know how to say the last name.
I think it's Robitaille.
Robitaille. It's
French. Yeah. So he was an African-American man born in the late 1800s, the son of a slave who grew up. His father came into some money, and he grew up to be a very good painter, a portrait painter. A rich white man, called on him to paint a picture of his young daughter, but young woman. Yeah.
Virginal daughter.
Yes. And they fell in love, and she ended up pregnant. And when her father found out about it, he sent a lynch mob after him. The mob sawed off the man's right hand and smeared him with honeycomb that he had stolen from an apiary. And the bees came and stung him to death. And then later, his corpse was burned in a bonfire at the place where Cabrini Green now stood.
You forgot about the stump part.
Oh, and they jammed a hook into his stump.
At least they were being considerate.
Right. Although, I'm not, I will say.
Speak on that, Jason. Elaborate.
I don't get the joke, Jason. Explain.
In the legend, though, why would they give him a sharp hook?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Why?
I guess murdering him and let me give you a weapon to fight back with.
In my mind, I imagine it's like your talent got you to where you are, and we're gonna rob you of that, and absolutely make it like.
But it's sharp. It is straight up a weapin.
I mean, I don't think they realized that he was gonna. I'm sure they knew they were gonna kill him.
Yeah.
And that they didn't think he would come back.
It was kind of more so I'm gonna take away your talent and mock you. I'm gonna do both.
Sure.
Yeah, it's very make a mockery of what that hand used to signify. Because I imagine it's his right hand, right? So it's
yes,
his artist hand.
This is why we have guests.
He's
on the
jokes
podcast
on you. I'm left-handed. He just goes,
that sounds like a Family Guy non sequitur.
Yeah.
What is it?
Oh, no, my
if
hand.
Somebody put a hook on my left hand, I'd be pretty useless. Just kind of flailing. That's not very good. I'm much
I'd
much
hurt
better with my right
myself.
hand.
If I had a hook on my hand,
That's the one I put myself in the leg with. All right. So Helen then returns to Cabrini Green, and a young boy named Jake tells her about an incident where a boy was attacked in the bathroom and by Candyman. So she goes into that bathroom and is investigating when a man walks in holding a hook, and he's got kind of his posse, and they beat her up and leave her in the bathroom. And Jake finds her and saves her. We find out this guy is a local crime lord, and he's been calling himself Candyman while he does crimes. So Helen identifies him in a police lineup. He's arrested. And so that should be the end of the Candyman story, except for then the real Candyman appears to Helen, because in arresting this man, she has discredited his legend, and now he needs to shed blood again so that people will fear him again. And so she passes out and then wakes up in Anne-Marie, the lady who lives in Cabrini Green, wakes up in her apartment covered in blood. She finds her dog Annie's decapitated head, and Anne-Marie is in the baby's room screaming at the bassinet because the baby is gone and there's blood everywhere. And so Helen is arrested. Well, she hears the screaming mother, and she picks up a butcher knife,
cleaver.
Cleaver. And when the lady comes at her, she stabs her with it. So all this together means she gets arrested. And
she has the cleaver over her head, threatening the woman as the cops bust the door down.
Yeah, it's a bad scene. Yeah, it's not the kind of thing that the cops just go, okay, explain what's happening here, please. So her husband, who we haven't mentioned yet, shitty guy, he's always a piece of shit through the entire movie. He just always is. Like, he never comes across as a nice guy at any point in the movie. Like,
he's the worst. He wakes her up out of dead sleep. Like, get out of here.
On her.
Jumping on her. And then he's like, oh, I'm wasted. Okay, good. Go to bed.
Yeah. And like 2 in the morning, he jumps on her. And I watched this with my daughters this time. This is their first time watching it. And I said, if I did that to your mom, I would be murdered within seconds. That would be the end of my life if I jumped on her at 2 in the morning and woke her up.
Hey, man. Yeah. Fucking, yeah. I want a buddy comedy with this guy and fucking Corey from Halloween Ends. And that'll be Jody's like worst nightmare of a film. I was watching Star Wars earlier and I was thinking, man, what if John Carpenter wanted to take the original Halloween movies and implant Corey into them? And all I can do is see Jody like loading his gun as he's driving to John Carpenter's house.
I couldn't hurt John Carpenter.
That's true. But I think you go to his house and have some stern words for him, though.
Yeah. No, I definitely would. Yeah. All right. So Trevor comes and bails her out. And when she's at home, she's looking through the pictures that she had been taking there at Cabrini Green and notices in a picture that she took of herself in a mirror that Candyman is actually in that picture standing behind her. And at that point, Candyman shows up in her house and he cuts her on the neck. And as he is attacking her, Bernadette comes to the door and she's knocking on the door and Helen's yelling for her to go away. But Bernadette doesn't quite understand. She just hears her yelling and she walks in. And once again, Helen is knocked out. And when she awakens this time, it's even worse than what happened in Cabrini Green because Bernadette is slaughtered in the middle of their living room. She's covered in blood again. And at this point, the first time Trevor was like, okay, honey, let's do what we can to fix this. And then this time he's like, okay, you're scary. So she gets shipped off to a mental hospital. And while she's there, Candyman appears to her again. And they give her some drugs. And then we find out later, a month has passed that she's been in drug-induced comas of various kinds. And she's preparing to find out if she can stand trial. So the psychiatrist shows her video of that first day, and Candyman is not in those videos. She said, no, okay, well, I'll prove it. And so she turns to a mirror in the room, says Candyman 5 times, and then he appears and immediately murders the psychiatrist and then sets her free. So she runs off again, as people are finding out the murder has happened, and she escapes by knocking out a nurse and taking her outfit. And so she goes home, finds out Trevor's been hooking up with one of his college students for the last month. It's like as soon as she got shipped off, she's like, hey, I got an 19-year-old.
He straight moved her in. Like he moved her in
the walls, bubblegum.
He was actively cheating on her.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, yeah. We didn't get into all that, but he doesn't show up till 2 a.m. on a fairly regular basis. And when she first goes to jail and calls him, he's not home at 3 a.m. He's actively cheating on her this entire time.
Yeah. And the fact is he's even more of a scumbag because his assumption is she's never getting out of this mental hospital, meaning he's not going to do everything he can for her in her defense. He's okay. Cause now guess what? He gets to do his new life that he wants to do.
Yeah,
man, he sucks. He really does suck.
Yeah.
This is Corey levels of suck.
So Trevor was all she had left.
Trevor sucks more than Corey. Okay.
This is true. Yes, I'm with you.
Corey's just a crappy person. Trevor's a terrible person. Let's fix all this. Okay.
He's definitely one of the worst husbands in all of horror. He's also a terrible stepdad in Terminator 2.
That's what Pavio brought up.
He gets his. Yeah.
All right. So once she finds all this out, that's kind of like her last person she had any connection to. Now Bernadette's dead. Trevor's scumbag. And so she goes back to Cabrini Green to see if she can find the baby because the baby's been missing this whole time. And she finds Candyman in his lair, which he's just sleeping. It's kind of cool. Like he's a ghost, but he's sleeping.
I like that. I like to know that you can still take naps when you're dead.
Yeah, that's nice.
It's reassuring.
So when she finds him, though, he tells her that he will. ensure Anthony's safety if she surrenders to him. And he says, you will be immortal, and people will whisper your name on the street corners, and people will always remember you. And so he opens up his jacket, and he's got all these bees all over his chest and crawling in and out of his ribs, and there's bees in his mouth, and he kisses her, and the bees go down her throat, and it's a lot happening, a lot of bees.
Sexy, hot.
So he vanishes with Anthony, and when Helen wakes up, she sees this mural of Candyman and his lover, and it looks a lot like her. And so Candyman promises to release him if she helps strike fear into Cabrini Green's residence. And so she hears the baby crying, and the baby's in the middle of this big pile of wood that they have set out for a bonfire they're planning on having. So Helen goes tearing into that, trying to save the baby. Candyman is also in there, and the residents see her crawling in there with a hook in her hand. And so they think, oh, it's Candyman. So they come and set the big pyre on fire. And Candyman is like, holding her, but she stabs him in the end and crawls away with the baby, catches herself on fire in the process, and crawls out in front of all the people and hands the mother the baby. And then she dies. And so the people of the area at her funeral, the people from Cabrini Green come to her funeral, like to honor her for saving this baby. And then in our closing scene, Trevor, piece of crap that he is, feels a bit guilty for being a piece of crap. And his new girlfriend is in the kitchen cooking, and he's in the bathroom, and he's just feeling sorry for himself. He goes, oh, Helen.
On the toilet, like
Helen, he says it 5 times, and then Helen appears behind him, all burned up from the fire, and then stabs him and murders him. And the new girlfriend finds the body, so everyone gets a happy ending.
Everyone
except for most of the people.
end.
What an uplifting film.
Yeah. All right, Whitney, you're our guest, so start us off. What do you think of this movie?
Candyman's a classic. It's really so good. I think I enjoyed it even more on this rewatch. I've already told my story on this podcast before about my movie experience with Candyman. Maybe we'll save it for the end. You act like y'all don't remember. I don't know. Do y'all want me to share it?
Why not? We're 160 episodes in.
If you haven't listened to every episode, what are you talking about? Stop what you're doing and download them all. But
so right here's where I'm going to pause it. I'm going to cut this part out and say for Patreons only. For Patreons only. For Patreons only. Sorry.
Don't say it 5 times.
Patreons show up.
Yeah. Demanding more content. I saw this at a Terror Tuesday, and I was looking. It was actually like it was like an October 25th Terror Tuesday, so it was sold out. I'm pretty sure. Like it was a 300-person theater, fantastic film to watch, and I kept looking during this watch to kind of be like, how much time is left? How much time is left? Because the last 20 minutes, there was someone that was so drunk out of their mind on a Bud Light Strawberita. That is a very important note because that means that this guy snuck in a Strawberita, of all choices, and started laughing hysterically. There is nothing funny about most of this movie, especially the last 20 minutes. People were yelling at him. One of my friends was like, shut the fuck up. He was 3 rows in front of us, but the whole theater could hear it. I mean, it's like a pin drop, and he's just laughing his ass off, having a great time by himself. They try to kick him out. He won't get up and leave. So Alamo, it's very much like you talk, you text, you get kicked out. Well, they can't forcibly remove you technically, and they were not about to call the police. It's probably 11:30 at night because these are late showings. And as everybody left, that's how we saw that he had left like 2 strawberry cans. And as everybody was leaving, they gave everybody a rain check card because they were just like, that ruined the fucking film.
Nice.
But that's my theater experience with Candyman. It's like insane to me because I'm like, there's nothing funny about this movie.
Was that your first time seeing it?
I don't think that was my first time seeing it. I think that was a rewatch. I think this was when I like, similar to Jody, I'm kind of a late comer to horror. So I think this was one that I watched probably in my mid-20s when I was going through all the classics like The Evil Dead, Hellraiser, just kind of getting the classics out of the way. But I think the more I see it, the more I really like it. And I think I like it even more having seen the remake as well, because I think they're both really good movies on their own and together. I've also seen like I remember, I think I saw one of the sequels.
The first sequel's pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's the one that has like the visuals of his backstory, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I like got that conflated with that being in this movie. And I'm like, oh, wow, they really just like kind of tell his backstory as this like in itself almost an urban legend.
Like an urban legend, yeah.
Yeah. You have the visuals on the wall. I do remember being so confused as to like how the mouth in that like apartment complex worked, like the open mouth that she crawls through. I'm like, what is this like fun house that she's in? So it made a lot more sense to me this time with a sober mind. I watched it like at 10 a.m. this morning. So, but yeah, I just don't know anybody that doesn't like this movie. It's so good. It's sad. It talks about a lot of issues that happen in life, and you know, there's obviously a huge talk about racism and the oppression that, you know, happens. Like the housing project has cinder walls and they put plaster walls in her condo, and you know, she gets arrested and is like, can I just speak to the detective, like blah blah blah, and like like he starts yelling at her. It's like, your white privilege is gone. Like you're under arrest.
They let her go home though that day.
Yeah.
Because she probably posted bail, right?
I know, but that's what I'm trying to make.
White privilege.
Like, there's a missing baby.
I mean,
I was baby, like
covered in blood, decapitated dog. They're like, all right, let's talk about this later.
For enough money, you know, you can get out of.
I mean, in current times, when she had the cleaver over her head, there's a lot of people that would have just gotten gunned down in that situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I like legit was, again, I've seen this, but at some point I was just like, oh no, because I think the cleaver does switch hands to Anne Marie, and I was so concerned that like they were the police are gonna come and see Anne Marie with the cleaver and don't ask questions, like.
Not to say, you know, it's police brutality obviously happened back then too. It just wasn't as in our faces as it is now, because now we have social media and ways we can actually document this when it happens. Right. But I wonder if that probably wasn't even in their thought process when doing that scene.
No, but especially because you need her at the end. You know, Anne Marie is, you know, famously leading the pack. It's such a impactful scene because it's just a couple people around her grave, I guess that's what's called. And you turn and you look and you just see so many people, and it's Anne Marie, her baby, and Jake, and it's just this, what I imagine probably a very uncomfortable moment for all the other, like the white people that are at this funeral, as to like, what's happening here? Like, because Trevor looks very uncomfortable. Like you specifically get a shot of his face and he's just like,
while his student is like crying into his shoulder. It's like
Trevor would be that guy on next door. It's like, a person of color exists in my neighborhood. What do I do? Like,
oh my god, 100% with your stupid pink walls.
He brought a date to his wife's funeral.
Oh,
holy shit! I didn't even think of that. And
oh my god.
I was just looking, you were talking about police brutality. This movie came out like a year and a half after the Rodney King.
Exactly.
Oh, it did. It did. Yeah. I thought it came out before.
I went to go check.
Yeah.
It was still fresh on people's minds, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Well, just for some context, this is based off a Clive Barker short novella, which took place in Liverpool.
The Forbidden, right?
Forbidden? Called The Forbidden. It was really about class. So, like, the basic story is the same, but he was killed because he was of a lower class than the rich family. But he was still like a painter who shacked up with, a virginal daughter.
So there was no race mixed in.
No, it took place in England, everything.
Okay.
And then the director decided, I'm very curious on like what inspired him, like what connection he had to move it to Cabrini Green. But I think he said he wanted to tie in the sins of America into the character and make it a bit of a larger piece.
And because the original director is white, right?
Yeah, they say he's a white British dude.
So, I was a little surprised when I looked that up, and it was like, why is a white British dude making a film about the projects of Chicago? But he did a really good job.
Yeah.
I know I have heard some criticism from the Black community towards this film. Personally, obviously, I'm not one to speak on that, but I just do personally find it like a really impactful film.
When I was doing my research before we talked tonight, they did say when the movie was getting ready to be released, the director met with a bunch of members of the NAACP just to kind of be like, hey, we want to make sure we're okay here. And they were like, man, this is just in good fun. Like, why can't a black guy be Freddy Krueger? Like, if
exactly.
Yeah, that's fair.
Actually not letting him be the murderer would be more discriminatory. So they were totally cool with it at the time.
And he almost becomes an empathetic character in this because what he's doing is a direct correlation to how he was treated and his people were treated, to where you can't really fault him. Yeah.
I think the only other racial criticism that I read of, it was like kind of white savior complex that she has.
I think that's the big one.
She pays for, so she kind of gets punished for that.
White savior. Also, just like a black man being in love with a white woman, also being like a trope as well.
Well, also there's supposedly the kind of dance that they do was in the original cut was much longer, but the studio wasn't very comfortable with interracial depictions at the time, so they cut it down.
God, it was 1992.
1992, folks.
Yes,
we live in a society.
Mondo, what do you think?
I absolutely love this movie. This is one of my favorite horror movies of all time, I can say. And the soundtrack in this movie, that theme is just so haunting and so perfectly done. And everything Whitney said stands. I mean, the way they deal with the struggles of the projects, and it kind of reminds me too the way they treat Candyman. If you're familiar with Mexican culture and Santa Muerte. Sorry, Mexicans out there, I can't roll my R's and I'm Mexican. I apologize.
Santa Muerte. I can't. That was Italian. Cut that out. That was terrible.
Do you have an HR department?
That was so bad. I'm sorry.
No, but
I've attended so many people that just now.
So Santa Muerte, a lot of people know that a lot of the underworld, the cartels and stuff, worship Santa Muerte and bring them offerings to keep them protected. But it's also it's kind of one of the occult saints that a lot of I don't know the best way to put this, but like outsiders from the societal norm, be it if you're LGBTQ or if you're don't feel like you're part of society, you kind of look towards Santa Muerte as being almost the god of not the non-judgmental god is what she is. And it kind of reminds me of that, how they've latched on to this legend of Candyman, and probably some of that's rooted in the backstory of him and what he represents, and how he almost represents like their Santa Muerte in a way, which I thought was really, really cool. And but overall, great movie. Tony Todd, man, like rest in peace. Like this was the role that he was meant to play, and he just kills it. And he doesn't get a ton of screen time, but when he does, he maximizes every little bit he gets.
Oh, and you can't look away.
He's got a lot of his voice too. You know, you're hooked on every time he's speaking. It's very soothing, but also very haunting at the same time.
He does a lot of voiceover work for video games, and he was in the recent Masters of the Universe cartoon as the skull guy, Glow Skull. I can't remember that. I can't remember the guy's name.
He was also like Venom in the new Spider-Man game.
Yeah, so he's got that iconic voice, and it fits perfectly with this character. And whoever did the direction and the sound design, just the way they shot him in those scenes too, to make him look larger than life, and the way they enhanced his voice to make it sound even more ethereal. Well done, and it just all feeds into this. But yeah, this is top 90s movie, man. Like, go see this if you haven't seen this, please.
Yeah.
Didn't we recently talk about how like there weren't good movies from the 90s, like on the Event Horizon episode? And it's like,
I think there just aren't as many top tier, but like if I was thinking about this, like I'd probably place like Scream and then Candyman, like 1 and 2, and then maybe like Silence of the Lambs or Blair Witch, like as far as like most most important, influential, whatever you want to call it.
I think there's more than people realize. I think there's more good horror happening.
I think that the 90s gets demonized because of the very last few years of the 90s, when there is very much like music video editing and music video cuts
and just a lot of CGI reliance.
Yeah.
But over the course of that decade, no, it was a good decade for horror.
Yeah, definitely. All right, Jody.
Yeah, no, I love this movie. I said I watched this with my daughters for the first time, and I told them, I was like, it's kind of a slasher, kind of a ghost story. Like they've seen a lot of, the Jason and the Freddy and all that kind of stuff. And once it was over, I'm like, so what y'all think? I'm like, I know it's a little slower than like your typical slasher. There's a whole lot of build up time before. I mean, Candyman doesn't even show up till about halfway through the movie. And they were like, oh, but I like it though. Like I liked all that backstory and it like building up to this. So by the time Tony Todd shows up on screen that first time, like he is already legendary. Like you haven't even seen him. You've just heard his voice at the beginning. And it's just such a great, I think it's a good ghost story. Like it's a good ghost story. It's a good slasher. Like there's a lot of, the social elements of it, but just even outside of that, it's just a good like campfire story about this scary guy who you say, I mean, I remember kids talking about Bloody Mary when I was a kid. Like that was a thing that people talked about all the time,
Bloody Mary still scares me. I still do not want to do that.
I don't talk in mirrors and say,
never done it, man. Never will.
I've seen Paranormal Activity 3.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's great.
No, thank you.
I mean, I've told my haunted house stories that I used to live in on this, so I don't fuck around with anything.
No way.
But yeah, there's great performances. I mean, Tony Todd's obviously, amazing in this. Virginia Madsen's great in it too, though. As really good in this movie. All the
Ted Raimi
characters.
Yeah, Ted Raimi. I was waiting for someone to say that. Second week in the world, we have a Ted Raimi.
It's just I feel like it's a really well-made movie, well-directed, well-cast. Like it just hits all of those things, and it's a good movie. I love watching it. And I do think the first sequel is pretty decent. Nowhere near this level, but pretty decent.
Yeah. Have you watched the third one?
It's in New Orleans.
I haven't ever watched
the second one.
The second one's Farewell Flesh.
Yeah.
Based around it's based around Mardi Gras, I think, right?
And both of those are like direct to video.
Yeah, they were direct to video.
Yeah. I think the third one actually debuted on HBO or one of the premium channels. So I remember being all excited to watch it, and then I missed it. And it was back in the day when DVRs weren't a thing yet, so you just had to wait for it to come back on. So I eventually rented it from Blockbuster, and I was very, very not happy.
Yeah. I mean, I echo everything anyone says. This is an amazingly directed movie. The cinematography is very imaginative. The set design is very cool. Again, her walking out of that mural of a huge mouth, is just so striking. the way they frame Candyman, like Tony Todd's 6'5". He's already a big dude, but they like make him seem like a statue, like or like a building. Like when he's standing against the skyline, he just looks like he's part of the landscape.
They shoot him sometimes from below.
Yeah,
and it's what they used to do with pro wrestlers like Andre the Giant. If you ever watch old footage of him, they shoot him from the bottom to make him look bigger than he is, and it works so well.
Yeah. But I love how Chicago is like a character in this story too. Like this is
a good point. Yeah,
it's important that this movie is in Chicago. It's important that it's in the Cabrini Green projects. Like it's very much like about that too.
And like
it's
this
the first
movie,
character introduced, if you think about it, because you start with the highway, like
that overhead shot, which is a great shot.
Yeah, and like this is on my like core themes soundtrack. It's just so iconic. And he's just like one guy doing it with a synthesizer and a piano and like one cellist or something like that. It's just so haunting. And it's funny because I think he said that like he was expecting something he was expecting like something more sophisticated, at least at the time when he first saw it. But I think his score kind of elevates the mood. It makes it like Phantom of the Opera. More operatic. Which really like levitates the movie.
I've always felt that it's when the Italians did it, obviously, where you can have almost a major key upbeat score to these horrific things that are happening. It really, it's unsettling. And that's the other thing about this film is it's shot and directed and acted very seriously. Like there's no point are they breaking the fourth wall or tongue in cheek or anything? No, this is deadly serious, which I think gives it advantage over a lot of movies. You know, I love the Nightmare on Elm Street series. They took it a little bit too far to the comedy for a lot of people, where this just kind of always, the Candyman character never wavers from that.
It would be so easy to make Candyman like do puns and stuff like that, but he did, and that's great. I don't want Candyman. Candyman is a serious killer. Like I want him to be serious and scary.
Oh wait, he's also a great father because he kept that baby alive for many days.
Well, the question is, was he feeding the baby? Was he feeding the baby blood, which isn't a good thing, or honey, which also isn't good for a baby?
But, you know,
I assume honey and then magical powers.
Well, you can't give babies honey. That's the thing they tell you at the hospital.
And the magical powers.
I just figured he was breastfeeding them. I don't know.
He has no breast. He's just a rib cage.
It's all ribs.
It's just the milk of 1,000 bees. Can you milk a bee? Is that possible? I don't know.
But and I think what's even helped the movie so much more is that the movie itself has become like an urban legend. Like there's stories about like Virginia Madsen being hypnotized for a lot of those scenes. And like she says it in interviews and stuff, but still you're kind of like, did she really? And they talked about how like
on purpose or like
no, on purpose. The director like put her under how they were the hypnotist so he could put her like in states. Again, these are the kind of things you hear about or like some people talk about, and like the whole thing about being paid $1,000 for the bees. I'm sure I'm sure that part's true, but again, it's kind of like it has a feel of 100%. Urban legend to it,
right?
In that, like,
did you know Virginia Madsen was also like highly allergic to bees?
Really?
Yeah. And so they had paramedics on set. I was looking at this. They had paramedics off set, and she was like, that doesn't make me feel better. But apparently the bees that were on her were baby bees, and they aren't able to sting for like a while. So like she's like, it's fine. But
you know, her brother is Michael Madsen from Kill Bill fame.
Really? I never put that together.
Yeah. She's a much better actress than he is an actor. But he's good in what he does.
He's a fun actor, though.
Yeah.
I mean, she was in Hot to Trot, so it always comes back to that movie. But and there's also the rumors about like them being shot at by rival gangs on different rooftops. Like the movie, the movie itself is like has become an urban legend. That's what's so cool about this.
Like one piece to it too is when they think the people in the apartment in the projects think that they're cops.
Mm-hmm.
Like that could have put Anne-Marie's life at danger because growing up in a bad part of Vegas, I knew one thing, and it's you don't talk to cops because that's how you get in trouble. So I think that was kind of they never really touched on that, which I wish I kind of would have just a little bit.
Well, I like that the movie like hints a lot of different things kind of in the ether, but doesn't stick to anything. It doesn't go too deep into it So it kind of like he keeps his eye on the ball, where I think some movies might go into there and might start to feel about something that doesn't need to be, or kind of sidetracking the main plot.
Mm-hmm. And does it make anybody feel uncomfortable during these old movies where everyone's just smoking in a restaurant?
Yes, there's so much smoking.
Yeah, it makes me feel so uncomfortable because I'm like, who wants to eat their food around that?
She was smoking at school.
I know, right? I remember my grandma smoking at the fucking like wall. We didn't have a Walmart. We had a Rosie's. It was like a Kmart in rural Virginia. Yeah, you could just go inside and smoke. It was just a thing you did. And
I mean, go to France. People smoke all the time with their food.
Yeah, they go to
Same
Europe.
thing in Germany. In Germany, you'll have like an 800-year-old silo with a fucking cigarette machine they carved a part of the wall out for to put in there. Yep. This is a city where when they do road work, they tear out the original material, do the pipe work, and then put the original material back. But they'll cut out a piece of a monastery for a fucking cigarette machine.
Hey, gotta make money somehow.
Hey, but they walk everywhere and have unprocessed food. So
yeah. I do find it interesting that her friend Bernadette, played by Cassie Lemons, is also the friend in Silence of Lambs. So she's kind of she's kind of the go-to white lady's friend in the horror movie.
Mondo almost spit his beer out.
I know. I almost did. I mean, Tony Todd, God, pick your favorite role. There's just so many.
We will later, Jason.
Yes, we will. But I kind of love him in The Rock. I think it's just really funny, like really like hamming it up more than he normally does.
Hey, Jason, we'll get to that section of the
are we okay?
Can we move it along? Can we keep this going?
But yeah, Bernard Rose knocks it out of the park. I wish he does have a lot of movies, but nothing nearly as big as this. He started off as a music video director for like UB40 and Freaky Goes to Hollywood.
I saw that, and what's kind of cool is this movie is not shot like a music video. Mm-hmm. Even the flashy scenes are done with style, but it doesn't have that quick cut editing that was really famous in the 90s.
Well, I watched one of his other movies for the first time this October during my Halloween Scare-a-thon. It was called Paper House, and it was from like 4 years before this, and it's much more fantasy, but I could definitely see some things that were like brewing the way that he likes to do things with, kind of a haunting, like unreality. It was a good movie. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. And like, again, for one movie to just put a horror icon on like the Mount Rushmore of horror is just really impressive. Because like, I think it took like Jason a couple of movies to really make that impression. In Freddy Krueger, it took at least 2 or 3 movies to like really cement him, but this is like instant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, iconic with that coat. I want to know where he got that coat. That doesn't seem very like of the time that he died. So like, because he was wearing blue in all those photos. So where do you get that coat?
He's been alive. He's been around a long time, and his fashion sense has changed. Yeah.
Whose coat is that?
I mean, if ghosts can nap, they can also go shopping. At the boutique.
Oh, there we go.
All right, so let's go to our rating. We do 0 to 5, 5 being the best, 0 being the worst. Whitney.
So on this watch, I gave it a half star more than I did on the last time I logged it on Letterboxd. So I'm going to go with a 4.5 bloody hook hands. I was trying to say stump hands or hook. I didn't know what the best rating was.
Jody.
Yeah, this is a 5 for me. It's just one of those classics.
All right, Mondo.
5 queen bees from me.
I'll do 5 cigarettes at once. Just chain smoking all the way through. Like I said, this is like a best, like easily top 5 of the decade, if not top 3. I still say Scream is still the king of the 90s, but this is easily number 2 and number 3 movie of the entire decade. Alrighty. Now we're gonna do a quick shout out if I can get it ready, and here we go.
Hello, I'm Ernest Dickerson, the director of Demon Knight and you are listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Dude, that's so cool.
Him.
Oh, love him.
I've said it before, but I love that Jody and I have no idea what we're about to see and who's about to talk about our podcast.
We haven't seen most of these even.
Well, I mean, I put them on Instagram, guys. If you follow us.
Oh, I do.
I do.
The algorithm doesn't always give me everything. You get sporadic spatterings of things.
All right, Mondo, give us a song of the day.
I have two today. I did two
because I thought I Want Candy by Aaron Carter.
Isn't there a song called Candyman by Christina Aguilera?
Yes. Yes, there is. We're not doing either of those because we have gumption on the show. Gumption, is that the right? I don't fucking know. But there is they're both bands I've talked about here before, but both fit. One fits with the movie, one fits with the world. The one that fits with the world is a band by the name of Dying Fetus, and they call themselves that name because they're pro-abortion and they're pro-choice. And they're they named that band that to basically make the PMR, whatever, the PMRC, is that they called it? Or is that the Tipper Gore's group that want to put stickers on everything. They did it to kind of combat that in a way. But their album that came out back in the year 2000 is called Destroy the Opposition. And I think I know I've done a song from this before called Pissing in the Mainstream. And it's very anti-establishment, anti-government. Anti-government would be the wrong word, but critical of government, I should say. And the main lyric writer at the time, Jason Neherton, who actually started the grind band Misery Index after this, which is another fantastic band, very rooted in politics, generally on the right side of history. And he wrote the lyrics for this, and he used to run a website called demockery.org, which was if Drudge Report had a semblance of bias in it. Semblance of non-bias in it, I should say, because they're actually back. And granted, I was young. I was an 18-year-old kid looking at this website, but I love the fact that it put a lot of things in plain terms for me and helped me kind of figure out critical thinking and stuff that you need at that age. So the song I picked off this record is called Praise the Lord, Opium of the Masses, because it's a song against the idea of a theocracy. And then the second song I picked is by a great band called Zeal and Ardor. I've talked about it on here before too. And the front man is he basically started the band because he was on Reddit and he was saying, give me mashups of genres and I'm going to make songs. And he did it. And then some fucking asshole gets on there and goes, can you make black metal mixed with horrible racial slur music? So he said, fuck you, I'm going to do this and I'll make great fucking music. And he did. And his band has a very big mix of underground metal, also with a lot of influences from the jazz and the blues from that era, which was a fantastic mix of music. And he's done albums when the whole George Floyd situation happened. He did a record just based on that, about how angry he was with what was happening in society. And great band, phenomenal. Check them out. The first record they wrote was called Devil is Fine, and it was meant to be just I'm gonna make a one-off, and then people praised it so much. The singer or the frontman, Gagnon, I forgot his first name, he decided to make a full band and flesh the band out. So the song I picked off the album Devil is Fine is, I had it pulled up right here, and now I cannot find it. So that's what we're gonna. This happens sometimes when I'll edit this out. So I won't.
No, you won't.
It's so much work to edit things
I'll
out.
read some other game credits Tony Todd was in. Tony Todd was, like you mentioned, Venom in Spider-Man 2. He was Vortigaunt in the Half-Life series. And he's going to be in the upcoming Indiana Jones and the Great Circle as Locus.
That game looks fun.
It does look fun.
Oh, the song is called Blood in the River by the band Zeal and Ardor off their first record, Devil is Fine. It is, I think non-metal fans should listen to this. It's really, really well done. And I'm a sucker when you can take different styles of music and blend them together with your own style, because that's like the beauty, right? Like, all you black metal fans out there, none are listening, but anyone out there, like, quit being a fucking douchebag. Quit being so fucking gatekeeping. Understand that like the music was supposed to be the music of the rebellion, not of the fit in this box or you suck fucking whatever music. We're not country music. Fucking yeah.
Hey, calm down. There's some good country songs out there.
Well, there are, and I love Johnny Cash.
Randy Travis is a great man. Okay,
big fan of. I don't know him enough. Chris Christopherson threatened to fight somebody over their right wing views, so he's cool. Rest in peace. Doing Johnny Cash, the Man in Black, was all about fighting for people that didn't look like him. So I'm going to wear black until everyone gets the same rights that I do.
Should actually Google if Randy Travis is problematic real quick. That's
the struggle of liking black metal music, because I have to oh, this band sounds great. Google. Yep, not listening to that anymore. That's pretty much how it goes.
Okay, take it back. He assaulted someone, so he's not great. Fuck you, Randy Travis.
Jesus.
Full 180 right in the middle of this.
Thank you, Mondo. All right, Jody, do you have some horror news?
Yeah. Sometimes Jason just sounds disappointed in us. Like Jason is an ultimate dad.
All right, let's talk releases.
I think you're projecting a little there, Mondo.
I work with the information I have at hand.
Jason. So my dad died and I was 6. Thanks for bringing it up. I appreciate it.
Real quick, I have a friend, speaking of dead fathers, I have a friend who has
let's have an upbeat episode, guys.
This is great that they have a sticker on the back of their car that says "Don't honk at me, my dad is dead," and they get more compliments on it than anything. And it is like, I remember looking and I was like, look at this sticker, this is really funny. And somebody goes, "Oh, that must be Lisa's car." It's just like, oh damn it, we know whose car it is. She said it's like the best sticker that she said. "Don't honk at me, my dad is dead."
I think 160 episodes in, if anyone's been listening to us since the beginning, God bless you. And I think at this point they know that I deal with a lot of gallows humor.
Yeah. But you're not alone. So
yeah, because
you can get that sticker for your car.
No, I love that sticker.
Yes.
God damn it.
Speaking of dead dads, that was a great transition.
My wife took down our Halloween decorations finally. And I know because
you made your wife do it?
She's like, yeah. First of all, she did it while I was at the gym working out so I can be a trophy husband. Thank you. And I fucking know my role. I hope I would love for my wife to make a living. I could just be a stay-at-home, do whatever guy. But
wait, but did you put up Christmas decorations?
Yeah, we always do. We do every year.
But did she put them up immediately?
Do you or just
not yet?
Do it?
Then what's the point of taking down the Halloween decorations?
Hold on, I'm getting there, because we have an HOA, and she was worried the HOA was going to send us a nastygram saying, "Hey, these need to be taken down." And I said, I would have fucking sent them a letter back saying, "I'll take this shit down when the Freemason across the street takes down his fucking political signs."
I would say in this house, it's Halloween until the day after Thanksgiving. Because that's when I do my change.
I was very bummed on when I came back in town on Thursday, and I forgot our flag holder outside of our house is busted, and I need to fix it, because I was gonna when everyone was putting out their flags, I was gonna put out my pride flag or the Jolly Roger.
And
one of the two.
One side's Pride, one side's Jolly Roger. Put 2 flags up.
I just worry with the Jolly Roger side only because Jody knows what's up. We're a bit of high seas sailors ourselves. I don't need to bring attention to that.
You play Sea
All right, so
or
horror news.
Arg.
Arg.
All right, horror news. Releases. So one of the newest movies to just come out in theaters is Heretic. And I've been hearing nothing but good about this, and I can't wait to see it. It looks awesome.
I think you and I are going to be like prime for that, as just like, I heard there's like a lot of theological conversations, and I was like, oh, I can't wait.
You do know I went to Catholic school as a kid, right?
Okay. I'm gonna as a preacher's kid, that means nothing to me. So,
yeah, but your dad's like the coolest preacher that's ever lived.
I know. He'd probably go see Heretic with me.
Like,
It'd be good.
I'd hang out with your dad and drink a root beer with him. I assume he doesn't drink beer.
He doesn't drink beer, no.
Yeah.
He'd probably
but
have
I bet he likes his root beer,
Coke.
right? Okay, Diet Coke. I respect this.
Or Coke Zero, whichever one's the Coke without sugar for men.
Well, they're both, but they both taste
One is
different.
definitely marketed more towards women. Diet Coke is marketed more towards women, and 100%. Coke Zero is targeted. That is a fact. Jason reacted in a way that was like, "What are you talking about?"
We have an egalitarian household. My wife and I both like Coke Zero. That's our go-to drink. So
okay, soy boy,
it is better.
So when I'm driving and a large truck does something stupid, I have a truck voice where this is the voice that they make. And I thought this fit in here. Oh, never mind. I can't even do it now because I'm going to laugh when I try to do it.
It's going to sound like me trying to say Santa Muerte with an accent.
It's kind of a combination of Macho Man Randy Savage and what the fuck. I don't know exactly what that is. Like, God damn it.
Okay.
All right. More releases.
Oh, I was about to do it. I'm not drinking that Diet Coke. That's for ladies. I pee standing up, boy. I'm drinking that Coke Zero. That's my truck driver voice. That's how if you drive a big truck, that's how I assume you are.
That's pretty much the ad that they do for Coke Zero.
Right. Here I am driving to the gas station to pay $144 to fill my tank up to get 8 miles to the gallon, owning the libs.
So Diet Coke is for ladies because ladies diet. Coke Zero is for men because they have diabetes.
It's a bunch of zeros.
You remember the one that had like 10 calories left in it because they were like, men won't drink 0-calorie sodas, so this is a 10-calorie soda. I don't remember which one that was. It was like a Dr. Pepper that was like 10 calories.
All right, anybody out there?
Like another one that's like Coke Max or I don't know. Maybe I'm
I think that's what Jody was talking about. The 10-calorie, soda that came out with. Yeah, like if you want an example of toxic masculinity, like here we go. I can't drink a Diet Coke in fear that my masculinity will be questioned. Like that is not okay. And you know who does that? Yeah, men do that to men. So if this bothered you, look in the fucking mirror, dude, and go talk to your therapist because you need a therapist. You don't have one, but you can go to psychology.com.
Probably if they're not drinking Diet Coke because it's not masculine, they're not going to therapy.
No, they're not. All right, Jody, bring us some light, please.
More releases. On Shudder, a new movie just came out called Black Cab, where Nick Frost plays a cab driver who takes a couple somewhere that they didn't ask to go. I mean, that's basically all I have about it.
Oh my god,
he was just in a Crazy House.
Yeah, he just had Crazy House.
Have you guys? Has anybody seen that?
I haven't yet.
Okay,
I don't even know if I've heard of it.
It's on my. It exists.
It exists somewhere.
It's like a 90s sitcom type world, except for there's also mafia gangsters in there.
Oh, and Crazy House.
It's too long. That's my only complaint with it.
Like
Crazy House.
Good short.
But Nick Frost is great in it. Nick Frost is great in it, and it's actually shot in the Married with Children house.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Yeah, the same set.
All right, another movie coming out soon on November 19th. We are getting a remake of Street Trash.
This is crazy to me.
Absolutely insane. I'm not a huge fan of the original Street Trash. Like, I love all the melty stuff, but also it's like trauma-esque, and I'm not really a trauma guy, so it's not my favorite. But if we get more melting and maybe like less rapiness, I'm totally in for more of this.
Movie. Do you think they're going to keep in Dick Monkey in the Middle?
I don't know. I don't know. It's pretty
spoilers for those who haven't seen Street Trash, which I saw at Terror Tuesday. That was an experience. It's really problematic.
It's pretty gross. But if maybe they can update it to be less gross in those kind of ways and just be gross in a melting people kind of way, I think I could be into it. So I'm gonna watch it. Like, it's a movie about melting people. Of course, I'm gonna watch it, but hopefully it's better than the original one. Another movie coming out pretty soon is Dear Santa, where a child who is a bad speller writes a letter to Santa, but he accidentally sends it to Satan, and Jack Black plays Satan, and he shows up and hijinks ensue. It's from the Farrelly brothers. I don't know if it's really a horror movie.
Probably no, it's a family movie, but it sounds fun.
Yeah, it's PG-13 family movie.
There's some other Christmas movie coming out with Danny DeVito, and that's just going to be fun. So I love Danny DeVito, so I'm just going to watch
is it Dear Satan or Dear Santa?
Dear Santa.
Dear Santa.
Yeah, I would have respected them more if they actually said Dear Satan on.
I just have a feeling they wouldn't go theaters.
Jason, people are allowed to have fun. I think it's marketed towards kids.
Fun and see a movie called Dear Satan.
Yeah. All right, and another one. This one I'm pretty excited about. They just announced a couple days ago that next year we're getting a reimagining of Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Yeah,
oh my
god, I love Silent Night, Deadly Night.
Mm-hmm. Hell yes, that could be so good.
I hope they have a garbage day line.
That's for part 2. But it's from the same producers, Screambox and Cineverse, who made like the Terrifier movies, and so. Yeah, I'm excited. More slashers, and especially I love Silent Night, Deadly Night. It's good stuff.
The director did the Wrong Turn remake from 2021.
I heard that was pretty good. I haven't seen it.
I never watched that one.
And did a VHS 85 segment. I don't know which one.
Okay. I like most of 85 if I remember right.
I can keep looking. While you keep going.
See, yeah, now this is good radio. Listen to us, Google.
Radio. It's 2024.
He did the No Wake one, so he was that. Isn't that the?
Oh, I like that
the
one.
End one.
No, that's the one where they're at a funeral home.
Oh, with the vampire.
Oh,
no,
the demons.
Yeah. Really, like when there's like a storm and they're in the funeral parlor.
Yeah.
Or okay, so on Wikipedia it says No Wake is the one where the kids get shot on the boat and then come back.
Oh, okay.
Parts,
that's a different one.
That was fucking crazy.
That was good. That was intense. All right, one last piece of news. Nosferatu has preview audience.
Oh, sorry, No Wake because no waking the boat.
Yeah, the boat. The new Nosferatu movie that's coming out on December 25th has the preview audiences have started being able to give their opinions on it, and people are saying it's awesome. Friend of the show, Heather Wixon, said it's a breathtaking masterpiece, favorite film of 2024. See the word scariest film since The Shining, one person says. Beautiful performances. Lily Rose Depp is luminous. So yeah, a lot of people are saying this is the kind of movie that would get an Oscar if horror ever got Oscars. So yeah, I'm excited about it.
I was thinking, because we always do a year ender, we talk about our favorite movies. I don't feel good about doing a year end review without seeing this movie first.
Yeah, a lot of content creators are upset about that.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I know.
I'm not upset about it because, it's life. That's how life works.
You'll hurt your feelings. What are you talking about? Just go to the movies on Christmas Day. What's the problem?
Or the next day.
Yeah, I'm going the next day. I'm gonna get tickets.
Christmas Eve. Go on the Thursday.
Oh, that's right. It might be on Christmas Eve.
That's right.
That'd be cool.
Okay. Plans change.
All right, then we'll do our live end of year on Christmas Day. There you
go. I'll be down. Talk off here.
Jolie, one more.
Yeah.
They announced there's going to be a new Godzilla movie from the director of Godzilla -1. It's not saying a direct sequel yet. They're just saying a new Godzilla movie from the same director. But
yeah, that's enough for me. I'm in.
Oh my god.
I'm bummed because I want to see it. They just released it back in the theaters with 13 more minutes of footage. And I wanted to go see it. I didn't get a chance because I'm like, this might be the first time I've seen a movie in the theater 4 times. all in different formats.
Yeah, that's cool.
But still, God, so good.
Good movie.
If you guys have not seen the black and white version, please check the black and white. The minus color is so.
I need
intense.
to.
It somehow makes the movie better. Because I think it just fits that time period, what they're trying to do. And then the whole like city explosion with the atomic breath is just somehow
almost
even
like
more
all
haunting.
Yeah, because that's all you see of atomic bomb footage is black and white. You don't see it in color. So it would probably feels wrong in color. You're like,
that's what the world looked like back then.
Well, I think at our age, when you see it in color, you know it's a test, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah. You know that
they
the
saw
color
in black and white back then. That's how their eyes were.
Color wasn't invented until the 70s.
You know, when you see though, like an atomic bomb blast, it's in color. You know, it was a modern test. When you see black and white, you don't know exactly if that was one of the ones that was really dropped or whatever. So I think it just makes it more intense.
Yeah.
All right. I almost hate to ask this, but what advice do we have people to give people this week?
Why do you hate to ask this, Jason?
We had a question we put out about Tony Todd.
Oh shit! Yeah, I keep
that's why Mondo said we'd get back to it.
Jason also, for our patrons out there, managed to misspell the name of 2 movies when asking for a poll on what we should do next.
Yeah, that's because they won't let me put polls on Patreon from my phone, so I have to like get my computer up really quick as I'm heading out the door. Then I can't edit from my phone.
Well, you can spell like A Night on Elm Street or Candy Space Man.
Candy Space Man. All right, Jody, I need you to Photoshop Candyman in space.
Directed by Dario
A Night on Elm Street. Just a nice, quiet night on Elm Street.
Night on Elm Street.
A Night on Elm Street. It's a rom-com.
It's a 90-minute movie about teenagers going through daily routines to get ready for bed. Brushing their teeth and eating dinner, arguing with their parents.
It's art house.
Playing that tape of like noises from their friend's house by the airport. Yeah, I love that scene with Johnny Depp. He's such a terrible actor in that bit. It's amazing.
He couldn't stay awake. All he had to do was stay awake one night and couldn't fucking do it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so yeah, we asked a couple different places people's favorites non-Candyman role for Tony Todd. We had a lot of people say Ben from Night of the Living Dead remake, which I've never seen the remake. How is it?
That's mine. That's mine for sure. Like it's iconic. I think I saw that before the original, because it came out in '90, and that was about when I was that age. I know Jason was already had a job and a family at that point, but back in 1990 as a young man, I remember watching that, and that's the first thing I associate Tony Todd with. Well, the second thing besides Candyman, because Candyman, obviously.
We got other people saying Hatchet or Holliston. Someone said Platoon, which I didn't know he was in Platoon.
Yeah,
which of course he is. He's in like everything. I love him, and like I said, I love that when he was in The Rock, and he's actually in The Crow. Who's like one of the henchmen there. No, he's like a rival guy.
All the Final Destinations.
I was saying,
of course, Final Destination. Come on,
he's the grave digger or funeral home guy. Yeah,
the mortician.
Yeah.
I think my other, aside from Night of the Living Dead, is probably his portrayal in Hatchet, because he's so kind of over the top and wacky. And I forgot what it was, and Kel brought this up to me today, and we're talking about him because just a throwback. She made a cool painting of him, and she made a frame with like fake bees on it.
Oh, cool!
And he signed it for it. Days of the Dead Con was like, I was like the nicest guy. I was really high at the time, so I was terrified to meet him. So I just didn't like watch him. but like I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of nervous to meet the man because he's Candyman.
So like everything I've seen them from lots of people in the community, he was just the nicest guy.
Yeah,
like, it's just,
everyone says that.
I haven't heard like anyone say anything negative about meeting him, that he's just so kind. And he's always in, I was trying to figure out like what my favorite movie that he was in, but honestly I've really only ever seen him in Candyman, and then he was like had a small part in a movie called Hellfest, which isn't even a good movie. So it's like I don't want it. It's a 5. It's, okay. It's fine. But it's like that's not my favorite. But he's in, the amazing documentary Horror Noir, of course.
Yes.
And he's also, I think, himself in Digging Up the Marrow, which I really love that movie. Yeah. So like that would be mine, is just how much he loved horror. He's always in a documentary as himself, like and you can just tell that, like, I think I saw a quote because I was writing about it on my Movie Challenge Instagram, that he said that the horror community are like the most ferocious fans. So it's like he respects his roles in horror. He doesn't like regret them like some people do, and he just like is so respectful of the community too, which is like awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
he we did the Bloody Good Horror 2019. He did a trivia question for us. But how many? About 1,000. About the bee question about getting stung by bees.
27.
And I know it's a paid cameo, but he was just super cool about it. Like,
I mean, he could have come on and done it in like 1 second, you know. No, but
he took his time and enjoyed it, and that's
yeah. I think that's the saddest part. He just was the kind of guy who really brought light to people's lives. And it's just so sad that that's not there.
Yeah.
And I think in these times, I think we all need to pick up the slack and just be a little bit nicer and bring some brightness to everyone else in his stead.
That's good advice. That's good dad advice right now too.
That's it.
We're in dark times, you know.
Be a light.
And be the thing that
be a light.
Yes.
Be a light. You can be who you want to be. I just watched The Iron Giant because I wanted to sob. Ugly. I will say I ugly cried so hard that I couldn't open up my phone with Face ID. It like didn't recognize me. I was crying like so hard.
That's like when I ugly cried watching Field of Dreams and I like pulled a muscle in my stomach.
I did this really endearing and dumb thing where my Apple TV screensaver is it's a shared photo album that my daughter and my wife have of Freya. And it's one of those things that like it brings me happiness because I get to see like all these cool moments we share together. But I'm also like by the end of it, I'm bawling. By the end, but by the time it turns off, I'm bawling.
Yeah. I didn't know where that story was going to go. I thought it was just going to be shared photo albums, and it would be like just weird screenshots are showing up because it like my photo albums are fucking
screenshots
wild.
of serial numbers I took at work. Like I needed to show my camera. Like,
it's like pictures of horror movies and then a picture of my shoe.
Mine's a lot of keto recipes.
Yeah, screenshots of a movie I want to watch, and I like screenshot it, and it never works. I never watch the movie I screenshot on my phone.
I have the same thing. Like I found one from like years ago. I'm talking like 15 years ago. I'm like, oh yeah, I never saw that movie.
I've started texting myself. That's been my
all the time. Yeah.
Not emailing. I'm starting to text myself because I'll get these ideas while I'm driving now. And then I like for like movie, and I'll be like telling myself to be like, oh, goopy horror. But then like I get them twice, but then I don't read them. So it's another level. It's like slacking and emailing yourself is fine, but when you text yourself, you get 2 text messages. It's very.
Have I ever told you guys my Tony Todd, Ken Faree story?
No.
It's nothing crazy, but they did a Fangoria Fest out here, and it was not advertised at all. It was like a last minute thing. And I talked to some of the vendors, and they were very upset because I'm not even joking. Bruce Campbell was there. This is like back in 2013, maybe. And he was, no one even like bought a photo op for him because there's literally like 15 of us there at this convention. But Tony Todd and Ken Faree were there. George Romero was there. Wow. And one of the coolest things I remember is Tony Todd and Ken Faree, their booths were right next to each other. And they had one iPod between them and each had one earbud in. And they were just kind of bobbing side to side wherever they were listening to together, like in sync. And it was like one of those just cool, like human moments you got to see. And then the Fangoria handlers were getting upset because Bruce Campbell was just walking around and asking people if they wanted to take a picture. And they said, you have to go back to the booth. Weird. And he says something like, I'm Bruce Campbell. I'll do what I want.
Right. Don't tell me what to do.
That's
It's like at that point, they're like, what? I could make $100 or I could just have a good time. Like,
yeah. And that I told you guys when I met him before the screening of My Name is Bruce, right? Where I had a drink with him.
Yeah.
Not really a drink. So I was playing nickel slots.
A sip.
No, I was playing nickel slots because they used to do at the Palms Casino out here. I forgot the name of the festival, Cinevegas, and it was where My Name Is Bruce debuted because they had debuted Bubba Hotep the previous year. And so I'm just sitting down playing nickels. I was taking the bus at the time. Yeah, that's right. I was broke.
Look at you.
So I was taking the bus, and
wrong with taking the bus.
No, absolutely not. I got there like 2 hours early, and I'm just there playing nickels because back in the day you could play a nickel at a time. As long as you tip the cocktail person $1 every time, they bring you a drink. It was great. And then I look over, and 2 seats down from me, Bruce Campbell sitting there. And he's also playing. We have the same mindset here. He's also playing nickels and getting the free drinks. So I said, Bruce, I don't want to bother you, sir, but like, here's to all the great movies you made. And he looks at me and he raises his drink. And he goes, and to the many more shitty ones I made.
You know what?
And that was my entire interaction with him. But he's such a cool guy.
That's a good interaction, though.
Yes.
Whitney, thank you for coming on the show. Where can people follow you?
Thank you for having me. It's always a joy. You can follow me on Instagram and I guess Threads, but I don't post there, at Whitney Please, PLS. But you can also check out the Oh My Horror Movie Challenge. It's crazy. It's wrapping up, which is wild that I've...
How many?
We're on this week 45 is ending. So we have less than 10 movies before the end of the year. It's only 52 movies. This actually landed during Slasher Week. So Candyman is my Slasher Week pick. Nice. For Oh My Horror. Next week, we're going into 60s horror. We've got a couple other good ones left in the year. Found footage. Some Thai horror. Then we just dive into, some Thanksgiving winter holiday horror. So we're wrapping up the year, but we'll be back in 2025. So if you want to watch a lot of horror movies in 2025, check out the Oh My Horror Movie Challenge. And I got to work on that soon. I got to get some lists together.
Do you have your 60s movie picked out yet?
I don't. I try. I don't pick them out like at one. I've seen a lot of 60 movies, so I've seen a lot of the good ones. I try to pick them out like when I'm doing it, like the week of, and kind of what I'm feeling. It'll probably be something with Vincent Price though, because I just love that man so much. So,
have you seen The Abominable Dr. Phibes?
I did. That was for another one of my themes. I don't remember which theme, but
that's right. I remember now. You talked about that. I love that.
And
movie.
How my review was like, he was serving cunt, and Jerry was like, serving what?
I asked you, what does that mean? You was like, oh, good. I also did not know what that meant.
I was like, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But he definitely was serving it. Right. So join us along Oh My Horror, and there's an Instagram now, so Oh My Horror Movie Challenge on Instagram. It's too long, but I can't get the names I want, people sitting on them.
And if we have any comic book nerds out there, fucking the Absolute Superman is so good. They're just they're turning the DC universe on its head, and they all have different origin stories, and they're great. Batman and Wonder Woman are my favorites, though. Wonder Woman has a horse that looks like death.
Ooh.
It's pretty bad. She's from hell.
Nice.
Pretty bad.
All right. Well, that wraps up another episode. We appreciate everyone for listening. We would really appreciate if you give us a rating and review on iTunes, a rating on Spotify, a like and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us at Dads from the Crypt Talk on TikTok. And with that, we thank you for listening to Dads from the Crypt.
Goodbye. To everyone but Glenn Jacobs. It's been a while, Glenn. You still suck, you jackass.
Follow Dads from the Crypt on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or I will follow you to the grave. No, seriously, you really should watch. But be careful what you ask for. You may get it.